Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ty, and this is RealiTea Table Talk. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the latest episodes of the reality shows we all love to watch. Now, my thoughts are my thoughts, and the reviews I share are from my perspective. But I can guarantee that at least a few of us are thinking the same things while we're watching these shows. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel. If you're a return viewer, thank you so much for joining me again. And I just want to remind you all to please like, share, and subscribe. If you dig this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support this channel and its growth. And giving this video a thumbs up also lets YouTube know that my channel is here and that this video is available for others who may enjoy it as well as you. So please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Now, I am here with a whole new review for the 90-Day Hunt for Love, Season 1, Episode 2. At the end of the last episode, half of the singles participated in speed dating, and the other half chose to participate in taking the flirting classes, so that's where we pick back up. The singles who chose to do the flirting workshop, Flirting 101, arrive. Tiffany, Usman, Colt, and Courtney all chose the workshop, along with some of the non-90-day singles. Now, this workshop is being hosted by dating coach Tanya, and everybody is down on the beach. They have a little table set up there with 2 chairs and some drinks, setting up a little scene as if the singles were at a restaurant or a club or something. And Tanya chooses 2 random singles to role play. The first pair she calls on are Usman and Cassidy. Cassidy is a non-90-day single who is 24 from South Haven, Mississippi. Usman sits at the table and Cassidy walks up and they get into the role play. And she asks, "Is anyone sitting here?" And Usman says, "Actually, that seat was waiting for you." Courtney says watching Usman flirting with another woman sucks. Cassidy asks Usman what his name is, and he says, "It's Usman, but I go by Soulja Boy. Not the rapper from the States. I'm actually a Nigerian singer." Cassidy is like, "Oh, can you sing something for me? Can you make up a song about me?" And he's like, "Oh, what, here right now on the spot?" And Cassidy is like, "Yeah." So y'all, Usman busts out with this song. I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, my baby Cassidy. And everybody was looking like, what in the hell? Usman, that song is more of a deterrent than an attraction. That song and the way he sung it is bringing in 0 girlies, okay? None. And Courtney is like, there's no like? Just straight into love, huh? Straight into I love you. Jealous much, Courtney? So Tanya gives Usman a little feedback and says, "That was great, but you didn't ask Cassidy any questions about herself. So try that next time instead of singing that song, which should have never been sung and should never be sung ever again." Back at the hot tub speed dating group, Chantel is still wondering if she's a lesbian or not, or if she's swinging both ways these days. She's all in her head about this kiss she had with her friend Ashley before coming to this retreat. She's still very much attracted to men, so she's in the hot tub trying to figure it all out, child. Her next speed date is with non-90-day single Joe, who is 25 from Fort Lauderdale. And he gets in the hot tub and he says, "So tell me about Chantel. Tell me about you." So they start talking about her job. And she works at a med spa administering Botox and fillers. Joe was like, "Oh, I've never thought about having that done." And she says, well, let me see. So she has him smile, she has him frown, squint his eyes up and all that. And she says, "Yeah, he could use a little Botox, but he's also cute, tall, he has beautiful eyes, and she loves his accent." So she thinks there could be a little spark between them. Back at the flirting workshop, Tanya calls non-90-day single Chad to the table to role play. So Chad is going with Courtney, and Courtney says this is her worst nightmare. She never approaches men. So she walks up to the table and says, "I love your red shirt." Then there was complete silence, y'all, like 30 seconds of silence. So 30 seconds later, Chad finally stands up and introduces himself. And that was some very awkward silence, y'all. Like, very awkward. That was a very awkward 30 seconds. Anywho, she sits down, and then there's more silence. So, this mock flirting session is just so awkward overall. However, Colt is watching all of this, and he thinks Courtney's mumbling here is sweet. She reminds him of himself. Courtney asks Chad, "So, what are you drinking? A strawberry margarita?" And he says, "Uh-huh, a double." Yeah. Maybe I am just unaware, but do they make double margaritas? Like, does it just have a double shot of tequila in it or something? Again, this was awkward. So Courtney is over this role play. Tanya says, "Okay, time is up. Very good. Other singles, do you have any feedback for Courtney or Chad?" And non-90-day single Carlo says, "This whole thing felt very interviewish." Tanya's like, "Yeah, there were a few moments of silence there. And Courtney, don't take it so seriously. Neither of you laughed. So relax a little bit." In Usman's solo interview, he says there was nothing romantic at all about Courtney and Chad's mock flirting. It was cute, but he wanted to end badly so things with he and Courtney can go good. Back at the hot tub speed dating, the ladies switch out. So the next three ladies who take their turns for their dates are Jennifer and non-90-day singles Elise and Tessa. Jennifer's first date is with Joe, and Elise's is with Tim. Tim tells Elise he's old, he's 44, and Elise says, "Well, I've dated a 55-year-old before, so you're not that old." Tim says, "Well, my ex is here." And Elise suggests that Tim and Jennifer talk it out. So time is up on these dates, and it's time to switch. And guess who's Jennifer's next date is with, y'all? Her ex, Mr. Timothy himself. Okay. And neither one of them want this to happen. Tim is so nervous about getting in this tub with Jennifer that he nearly slips and falls in. And Jennifer asks, "Do we really have to do this?" And Tim says, "It's only 2 minutes, so it'll go by quick." So Jennifer says, "There's an empty tub over there. You can just go jump in that." They both sit there in silence for like the first minute or so. And Jennifer looks like she's hating life right now. Tim finally breaks the ice and says, "I have no ill will towards you, Jennifer. I'm trying to be nice, but I feel like you're not." And she asks him, "Remember what you said about me?" And he says, "Well, your version of history is different from mine." And Jennifer just cuts him off right then and there and stops him, but not for long. Tim got quiet for a split second, then says, "You're giving the other women here the impression that I'm a bad guy." Jennifer says, "Well, I'm just telling the truth." And Tim says, "Yeah, but it's not the truth." At this point, Jennifer decides to hop out the tub, and she sits on the edge of it like, "I am sorry, I cannot do this." Back to Flirting 101, dating coach Tanya selects Colt and non-90-day single Lexi, who is 30, from Laurel, Maryland, to fake flirt next. Lexi sits at the table. Colt walks up and says, "Wow, you have interesting piercings." And Lexi is like, "Well, why are they interesting?" Colt says, "Well, I don't have any." And Lexi is like, "Well, did you ever want to get any?" And Colt says, "Yes." Then Lexi says, "Well, you should go ahead and sit down so we can talk about it." Because this whole time, Colt is standing up over the table. So Colt finally sits down and he says, "So are you into that type of stuff? I see you have a few tattoos." And Lexi says, "Into what type of stuff?" And Colt says, "Piercings, like your nose and like a nipple. Is your body your canvas?" Y'all, this is crazy. Lexi is like, let's go ahead and roll this back. Meanwhile, the other singles who are all there watching are cracking the hell up. Carlo looks like he's about to fall out of his seat laughing. Lexi says, "Listen, this is a lot. Do not talk about my body." And Tiffany's in the background thinking, this is like watching a bad car accident. You don't want to watch, but you can't help but to look. So then Lexi starts laughing right up in Colt's face. And she says, listen, you could have just stopped after you said you like my piercings. And Colt was like, oh, okay, gotcha. Courtney says she feels bad for Colt, but her flirting was way worse. Lexi says, let's go ahead and reset. Then she asks, so what brings you here today? Then Colt kind of finds his groove, y'all, a little bit, and he says he likes the weather, the beach, and he likes to travel. So the conversation starts picking up after this, and then time is up. And Tanya asks Colt what he thought about it. Colt says, well, I was a little rushed when I started off, and Lexi is a pretty woman, and I was nervous, but Colt really turned it around, y'all. So good job, Colt. Colt is digging Lexi's energy, and he felt they made a connection, but he's got his eye on Courtney now. He wants to flirt with her now. Interesting. So then Tanya calls Tiffany and Carlo to the table next, and they rocked their mock flirting session like pros. The conversation flowed so easily, and they complimented each other's eyes. Then they discovered they were both from New Jersey. And Tiffany says she's Colombian and Cuban, and Carlo says something in Spanish. Tiffany is like, yes, come through, Spanish. She was very, very impressed. So they seem to genuinely have a connection, which Tanya notices, and she softly encourages Carlo to ask Tiffany on a date, and he does. Tiffany says she's down. She wasn't expecting this, and she still has her eye on P-Stash, aka Rocky, but she's open to dating some other singles. So she wants to keep her options open. Tanya tells the singles, okay, the workshop is over now, and now that you have some flirting skills, go out and use them tonight. Courtney says if she had to do it all over again, she would have taken some tequila shots before this flirting workshop. At the hot tub speed dating event, dating coach Nick notices Jennifer and Tim's date has stopped because Jennifer has hopped her ass up out of that tub. And he asks if everything is okay. Both Tim and Jennifer say it's been the longest 2 minutes of their lives. Tim is over the whole speed dating thing, so he says, listen, I'm done. I'm just going to go back down to the beach and give Jennifer her space. And she's sarcastic with her response when she says, that's super sweet of you. Thank you. She wants Tim to stay in his lane and to leave her alone. So Tim goes back down to the beach and tells the singles there what just happened in that hot tub. In Chantel's solo interview, she says Jennifer has already made Tim feel very uncomfortable here, and Tim is her friend. So she's always going to have his back, and Jennifer will not cut him down in front of her. She said, not on my watch, Huntsy. Okay, not on my watch. Elisa's next speed date is with Rob. Rob really regrets making out with Elise the night before now, and he doesn't want to lock himself in with her. So he gets in Elisa's tub, and she says, Tim told me you were talking about me earlier on the Sprinter van. And Rob was like, yeah, he kept bringing you up. He kept bringing up our kiss, and I told him to chill on that. Just leave it alone. In Elisa's solo interview, she says she and Rob have a connection, but she doesn't know where his head is at. After the makeout session that night before, she and Rob talked. Then they called each other and talked again that morning. They both have a glass of champagne in the hot tub and they toast. Rob says cheers to this process, seeing where things go, and making connections. By the way, have you made a connection with anybody else here today? And Elise says, well, I'm good with you. If you weren't here, I'd be thinking about you. Like, what is he doing? Baby, Elise done fell in love with Rob in these last 24 hours, okay? Elise has Debo'd Rob. If you know about Debo, then you know. She's like, this is my man. Rob, you're my man. Rob in his solo interview was like, what the hell did I just do? This girl is tripping. I thought we were just having fun, but she's all in, and this is all bad. After Flirting 101, Tiffany tells us she got a text from Carlo saying he was not joking about taking her out on a date, and he asked if she wanted to grab a drink, and she said yes. So now she's at the bar waiting for him to show up. She orders a margarita, and she's hoping Carlo is as cool as he was during the flirting session. So he shows up, they hug, Then he too orders a margarita. In his solo interview, he says Tiffany is a real ass person. She's cute, he likes her eyes, and he's attracted to her. Tiffany tells him she does not date a lot, and he says he does, but it comes in waves. He does take breaks though because it can get exhausting. Tiffany says, well, tell me a bad date story. So he says he asked a girl out. I guess they met on social media. And she also lived in New Jersey. She was very attractive. But when he gets to the actual date, he hears her speak. And y'all, this girl sounded like actress Jennifer Coolidge. If y'all aren't familiar with her, she was on the last couple of seasons of The White Lotus. And she also played Stifler's mom in American Pie. Now, he felt shallow, but he was immediately turned off by her voice. So Tiffany asked, well, what's your type? He says, exotic, bilingual. And Tiffany says, oh, well, you're describing me. And he says, he's learning to speak Spanish. Tiffany says, well, I can teach you. And he says, well, I'm very teachable. Y'all, the flirting 101 done picked up again here at this date. So she tells him to behave himself. Listen, neither Tiffany or Carlo needed that flirting 101 course today because they're doing pretty well here. Tiffany asked Carlo to spit some game in Spanish. So they toast and he says, salud. He says a couple more lines in Spanish and Tiffany is super impressed. She says, I thought you'd sound like a gringo, like, hola, ¿cómo estás? But you actually know Spanish. So Tiffany tells us Carlo isn't typically her type, but he's cute, he's got a nice body, he's tall, and he's smart. She's now placed Carlo at the top of her contender list. He's a top contender now. Rocky, aka P-Stash, better watch out, because Carlo is about to take your spot, bruh. At the hot tubs, the speed dating continues, and it's time to switch dates, and it's Rob's turn to date Jennifer. At this point, Rob is really wanting to put some distance between himself and Elise because number one, she's moving way too fast, and number two, which is probably actually number one, Rob has been digging Jennifer since she walked into that singles mixer in that mask and that red dress. Like I said in my last review, y'all, if Rob gets a chance with Jennifer, Elise is a goner. Okay, like bye, girl. He's got 2 minutes to shoot his shot with Jennifer, and he's going all in. So he lets Jennifer know he noticed her right away. In Jennifer's solo interview, she says she thought Rob was a player because he met up with Elise right away, but now she's thinking, maybe he's just confident. And confidence to Jennifer is very attractive. He asked Jennifer what she's into, and she says she's into a lot of things. She's feminine, but she's also very outdoorsy. So Elise is noticing this go down, okay? She sees how close Rob and Jennifer are sitting next to each other in this hot tub, and baby, she's about to have a conniption. Okay, she's about to have a fit. She says Jennifer needs to stop flirting with all of the guys, namely Rob, and she needs to back off because she wants Rob. And what she wants, she gets. She does not need nor want the competition from Jennifer. Jennifer is telling Rob she's very adventurous. Like, if she went to Mount Everest or Kilimanjaro, she'd want to make love in a tent there. And so he asked, well, have you ever made love in any other amazing places? And she asked him, well, have you? And Rob says, that sounds like a yes. She's telling him all of the right things. So Rob is thinking, she couldn't possibly be the girl I've been dreaming about, could she? Jennifer has Rob wide open at this point, y'all. But he wants to play it cool and see if Jennifer will actually give him a real chance. So the speed date is over and Jennifer tells Rob to give her a kiss. And he kisses her on the cheek. He's shaking his head like, damn, like she could be the one. And then he exits the hot tub. Back at the bar, Usman, Courtney, Lexi, and Cole, aka Cole, they all pop up to grab a drink alongside Tiffany and Carlo. And Usman is trying to figure out how to take a shot of tequila because he's never had one before. Tiffany says she's not surprised Usman and Courtney showed up at the bar together. They're claiming they've never hooked up, but Tiffany calls BS on that. All of the singles take the shot, and Usman looks traumatized, y'all, after taking this shot. It was bitter to him, but he's not feeling the effects of it yet. Now that all of the singles have taken their shot, they're feeling pretty good, so they decided to take a group selfie. And y'all, was super cute. It turned out really, really cute. Down on the beach, dating coach Nick chats with the speed daters about their ratings. Now, if y'all remember from my last review, the speed daters all rated each other after their dates, and now those scores are being revealed. Before they're revealed, Nick lets everyone know that the scores are just a gauge to let people know where there's room for improvement. That's it. The 4 lowest ranked daters were Chantel. No surprise there, y'all. She was awkward as hell, sitting in that hot tub, contemplating her sexuality. Then there's Nikki, Tim, and Jennifer. Now, there's no surprise there for me as far as Tim goes in that ranking. It makes sense. But Jennifer thinks this is insane that she also fell in with the lowest rated people. Who would not want to date her? Nikki goes further and says, Chantel, you got some low scores, but you also gave some low scores. So she admits there was some awkwardness with some folks. She's curious about what Joe thought about her, though, because although he's younger than she is, she wants to teach him a few things. Okay. Coach Nick then asked Rob why he rated all of his 6 dates as 3s. He says he basically had the same date over and over and over. They were all sitting in a hot tub for 2 minutes. So all of the dates were pretty even. Now, that's what he said, y'all. But Rob is not fooling me, okay? I know he didn't want to give out different rankings because he wanted to keep his options open. And by options, I mean his option with elites. And that's in the event that Jennifer isn't down to get to know him any better. He didn't want to look like the bad guy by giving everyone a different score. And by giving everyone the same score, it can appear he's not feeling one person more than the other. But it's clear the only one he wants to walk away with right now, if he could, would be Jennifer. Unfortunately, this has the opposite effect on Elise. Okay, he thought this was going to get him through and Elise is going to be cool with everything. But Elise speaks up and she says, I don't understand. And so Nick breaks it down for Elise. But she's like, yeah, and I still don't understand. When I feel it, I feel it. And what she wanted to say was, Rob is mine and he's not claiming me or making it known that I'm his. So what the F? Elise, homegirl, listen, your Delulu is showing out here just a little bit, chica. Just a little bit. So Nick says, homework. Think about the person you connected with the most tonight and maybe pursue that. Ask that person out for coffee or maybe even a date. So speed dating wraps up. Everyone grabs their things. And Elise gives us an individual interview where she says Rob was so disrespectful. They spent all night together the night before. They kissed. And now she's grouped in with all the other girls. What the hell? Rob has messed with the wrong woman, y'all. And now Elise, your Delulu is showing even more. Back at the bar, Carla orders another drink in Spanish, and Tiffany is sitting there in awe. Courtney is sitting between Cole and Usman, chatting it up with them. And then Colt, with a T, pops up and immediately goes to sit next to his faux flirt partner, Lexi. Colt feels he may have offended Lexi at Flirting 101, but he admits he's more comfortable talking to women online. And he doesn't believe there's a romantic connection between them, him and Lexi, but he wants to take the opportunity to work on his face-to-face communication with women. So he's going to try it out here with Lexi. Cole, aka Cole, asked Courtney about the meetup that took place in Tiffany's room the night before. So Courtney breaks it all down and fills them in on the argument between Usman and Chantel. Usman says she called me a scammer. I don't know why, but she owes me an apology. She's lucky she's not a man. She's a woman, so I cannot put my hands on her, but if she weren't. Just then, the singles from speed dating show up at the bar, and Rob introduces himself to his competition, Cole. He knows Cole and Jennifer were feeling each other, but he says he's good looking, and Cole looks more like a Jack Sparrow before bed. Now, I don't really know what that meant. I guess that was supposed to be a diss, but whatever. Jennifer says she feels physically attracted to Rob, but she's happy to see Cole here at this bar. Rob and Cole are like two different flavors of ice cream, and now she has to decide which one she wants to taste. So Jennifer and Cole are chatting, and she tells him that she has a 7-year-old daughter. Because Cole did not trip over the fact that she's a single mother, Jennifer believes this is a good sign that he would be good in a relationship with her. Cole says the child is not a deal breaker for him, and he thinks he'd be a good father, so he'd like to give it a shot. Lexi tells Colt she wants to go to a Renaissance fair because she's never been. Colt says, "Oh, well, I've been to at least two." At least two, y'all. Down on the other end of the bar, Elise decides to confront Rob about her speed dating ranking. She is not happy with this at all. And she says, "Rob, after we kissed last night, we talked on the phone for an hour and a half. Then you were trying to get me to sleep with you. And you want to rate me as the same as everyone else you dated today? You want to give me a 3?" So Rob denies asking her to sleep with him and challenges her to show the receipts. Bring him out. Everybody is like, "What the F is going on?" And Rob is like, "I was going to give this girl the benefit of the doubt, but after this, there's no way I can be with her. Red flag." Courtney can't believe Rob flubbed it up with Elise because she is a model from Florida and she's beautiful. She's like, how could he only rank her a 3? Elise and Rob are going back and forth at this bar, and she says, "You just wanted to stick it in me and that's it. You want to take me behind the scenes and sleep with me so people don't think you're a dog. So there you have it. And that's why none of your relationships have worked out." Tiffany is like, damn, it's only day 2. So Elise tells Rob he's an a-hole. Chantel steps in to try to diffuse the situation, but Courtney is like, "Oh, no, wait, I want to hear this." Damn it, Courtney. If I don't want to hear this too, I'd say you were messy, but I feel you, girl. What's the tea? Elise then put out her phone, child, and she's showing everybody her call log. She's like, "See, he FaceTimed me at 10:43 a.m. At 2 a.m., incoming call for an hour and 20 minutes. But I'm just another girl, right?" Chantel is like, "What in the world?" Rob is like, "I made a mistake kissing her on the first day." And you did, Rob. You absolutely did. Chantel says she's mad because you didn't sleep with her and she's embarrassed. Chantel, you are the absolute last person that should be assessing any damn thing right here, girl. First of all, she is not mad because Rob didn't sleep with her. The girl feels played. Point blank, period. She thought she and Rob had a connection. She may have gone overboard with all of that. He probably did try to coerce her to sleep with him, but it didn't go down for whatever reason. And she noticed Rob and Jennifer in that hot tub. She's sensing Rob is feeling Jennifer probably, and she feels played. So Chantel, just hush it up. Just hush. The spirit of your mama is all up in you right here on this trip, Chantel, and it is not, I repeat, it is not a good look. Go ahead and have several seats. Chantel and Rob continue talking, standing right next to Elise the whole time, and Chantel tells Rob to take this as a red flag and to run. So, of course, Elise is hearing all of this, and she's done. So she tells Courtney she's going to bed, and then she leaves the bar. Rob is like, "I'm never talking to this girl ever again." Listen, y'all, we all know Rob can be a jerk, right? A straight up clown. But Elise, girl, you let your cray-cray show a little bit here. You were doing the most over something that never really was between you and Rob, and you let your cray-cray show. Why did you give him that? Why did you give him all of that energy, all of that emotion? Girl, he did not deserve that from you. This right here shows me that Elise is very insecure and may not think too highly of herself because, girl, there are so many other men out there you could get to know right now. Why put all of your eggs into one basket for a dude that's 5 inches shorter than you with an outhouse in LA? Girl, goodbye and good night. Chantel is still sitting up at the bar giving the men her expert opinion. Again, Chantel, girl, just hush it up. Colt says he's surprised it was Rob that had an altercation because Chantel and Usman had been going at it the night before. And Chantel, Usman said if you were a man, he would have punched you. So Chantel says she knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Girl, you are a Brazilian nut is what's going on here. Again, you are here sounding just like your mama, and you should stop. Someone please come and get her. Please come and get Chantel. So Colt says Usman is an a-hole, and really, he doesn't want anything to develop with Courtney and Usman. He wants that woman all to himself, and he hopes Courtney is peeping all of this. Now, Colt knew what he was doing here, being very calculated. He knew he was stirring the pot, but this was just so that Courtney could see the type of man Colt believes Usman is. Chantel decides to confront Usman. She walks up to him and she says, so I heard you said something behind my back, and it was very aggressive. You said that you wanted to lay hands on me? Usman says, well, if you were a man, yes, but you're a woman, and I would never lay hands on a woman. Chantel is like, well, why would you say that? Usman says, well, why would you make allegations about me that I'm a scammer? Chantel says, well, they're true, and I'm going to protect my friend. Usman says, you act so childish, and does. So then Chantel pulls her hair back and says, you want to punch me in the face? Do you want to fight me? Like, she pulled her hair back like, honey, she was ready to get Vaseline on her face and take her shoes off, and she was ready to throw down. So Usman starts laughing right in her face and says, no, I don't want to fight you. Y'all, this is comical here. Chantel is like, well, what's up? And Usman is like, listen, I do not want to fight you. So then Chantel says, well, then all right, I've got to go to bed. You cannot take this chick seriously, y'all. Not at all. This is the thing, Chantel. Why do you think Courtney can't decipher things for herself? When this trip started, Courtney says people always think she's the dumb blonde, and it appears that you, her good friend Chantel, is included in that. Courtney is a grown woman, and she knows what she's doing. If she doesn't have an issue with Usman, then why do you? Why are you trying to create an issue? Why can't you just focus on you and what you're doing at this resort, trying to sort out your situation with your friend Ashley? Listen, I don't doubt Chantel is coming from a good place. Her intentions are good, y'all, but baby girl, listen here. Just support Courtney, period. Let her do her. Let her live her life. If things go wrong, just be there for her. But you do not need to be into her situation. You don't need to put yourself into her business, number one. And number two, all men are not Pedro, okay? Not all men from a different country are going after women here just to get a green card, okay? So just live your life and let them live theirs and stop projecting. So Chantel storms off, saying she tried to hold herself accountable for what she said about Usman. Chantel, you did not. You actually stood 10 toes down on what you said, alleging Usman is a scammer. You say you have a right to believe he's a scammer, and you do. You have that right. And he has a right to be upset about your accusation. Period. Chantel says she's never been so disrespected by a man in her entire life. And, I wish we could have gotten a flashback of her marriage with Pedro here because, child, he is the walking billboard for having been disrespectful towards you in the worst way. In Chantel's individual interview, she does like this little fake karate chop, y'all, or she was airboxing, like she was fighting. She was doing something with her hands. And I'm like, girl, you said you were going to bed, so good night. Okay, damn, good night. At the bar, Tiffany tells Usman nobody thinks you're a scammer. Usman says, well, a lot of people do. And Tiffany says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Truly, it doesn't. Who cares what other people think? Usman, you know your truth, and that's all that matters, baby. Usman feels that Chantel is trying to sabotage him at this retreat, but Usman, watch out for Colt, okay? Because now Colt is gunning for you because he wants Courtney. So everybody leaves the bar, and there remains Colt, Courtney, and Usman. Colt is telling Usman to just let it go. When Colt, you're the one who started this whole situation with your little run-tailed out shenanigans with Chantel. Courtney tells Usman he's being a negative Nancy. Usman's like, I am. So then he apologizes. Unfortunately, though, Courtney now feels like she's stuck in the middle of Chantel and Usman, and she does not want to be stuck in the middle of her friend and the guy that she's interested in. Once everything wraps up at the bar, Jennifer goes back to her suite, and Cole runs behind and asks to walk her home. He says he needs to keep her safe from these Mexican raccoons, and y'all, there really were Mexican raccoons running all around this little resort. They were cute and all, but no thank you. They bite. Jennifer accepts Cole's offer and he walks her to her door. He says, sleep well and I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all, Jennifer really likes Cole. Cole is her favorite and she's digging their conversations. Back at the bar, Usman says he's ready to go to bed. He just wants to go home. Then he asks Courtney, are you coming? Y'all, Usman is a nut, okay? Usman is crazy. Cole asks Usman, you said you're going back home and you're going straight to bed. So what are you implying here? And Usman says, well, I have my laptop. I was just thinking we can watch a movie. Sure, Usman, sure. Usman said in his interview he and Courtney have a connection and he's trying to see what can happen with them tonight. He feels Colt is being so annoying and he's starting to wonder, what's going on here? But he's not threatened. So Carlo walks Tiffany back to her suite. Tiffany thinks the night was eventful, very eventful, but her favorite part was her date with Carlo. Carlo thinks a kiss could happen between them in the future if things continue to progress. And I think so too. I see something happening with y'all. They get to her suite. Carlo kisses Tiffany on the cheek. They tell each other they enjoyed their first date. Then she tells him he's been so respectful and he's so easy to talk to, and she hopes to continue to get to know him. So she goes inside, he leaves, and Tiffany is super excited about Carlo. After this, we see the 90-day singles get ready for bed, and y'all, again, we are punished with having to look at Colt get into bed naked. Why are we being punished with this, y'all? Why do you have to show us Colt naked? We never want to see that ever again. Rob gives us a little diary interview, and he's caught off guard by Elise. He says the night was insane, but he hopes tomorrow is better. He just wants to forget about this entire night. And baby, so do I, because child, this is crazy. So the next day, which is day 3 at this resort, Tim is in his suite doing skincare, y'all. He's putting his little eye mask on. He's applying his foot mask. And he's talking to the camera about Jennifer being at the resort and how he can't stand that she's there. He's worried she'll influence the other ladies and discourage them from getting to know him. But we shall see. So it's raining cats and dogs this day. And Usman and Courtney go to the bar and have some champagne. Usman is worried he's about to lose Courtney to another guy. He wants to talk things over with her and see how she's feeling about him. He says nobody was understanding him when he was trying to defend himself against Chantel the night before. And Courtney says, you were absolutely being annoying. Usman says, well, I know Chantel is your close friend, but I do appreciate that you were still showing me love throughout all of that. I feel like I have the green light with you, but I don't want to assume. So you tell me, is there something between us? Courtney, she starts playing coy here and she says, well, let's just see where things go. Usman wants to know how she feels about the other guys. And she says, well, nobody's asked me out. So I'm just trying to see how things go. He asks, so what are we? And she asks, are you trying to DTR? Are you trying to define the relationship? And he says, well, I've known you the longest, and I feel we're on a deeper level than anyone else here. So I think you're the most beautiful woman. Out of all the women here, you are the one I want. And the other women are below you. They're beneath you. Now, Usman, day 1, you were singing a different tune. You were here for a good time, honey, not a long time. So what is this? You say you didn't feel threatened by Colt, but now you're trying to stake your claim on Courtney. And what in the hell? Courtney thinks Usman is being sweet by saying what he just said. But then Usman asked to kiss Courtney. She's like, we haven't even gone on a date here. And he says, well, I've shown so much effort and I like you. So can I kiss you? Y'all, Usman is very, very forward. It's like he's got no chill. He's either 0 or 100 when he's trying to pursue this lady. So Courtney thinks about it and it's like, you can kiss me on the cheek, nothing romantic. So he kisses her on the cheek and I'm like, yes, Courtney, yes, girl. Way to let him know you are not some fling. In Courtney's confessional, she says Usman is her number one choice, but he needs to step it up with his effort. She doesn't want something that's just physical or casual. She wants something deeper and she wants a real connection. So she needs to figure out if Usman is on the same page. At the bar, she asks Usman what's up with Jennifer and Rob and Cole. So she's trying to change the subject. And she's like, there's a little triangle going on. Usman says, well, let me give you the tea. Because yesterday at breakfast, Jennifer said Tim didn't want to touch her when they dated. He went to see her in Colombia, but did not touch her at all. He also took her to a male strip club, paid for a lap dance, and he was getting turned on. He liked it. Back at Colt's suite, we see him reading a book on etiquette that was published back in 1896, child. 1896. How will the information in that book apply to dating in 2025, Colt? He says, well, in this book, it says a gentleman should tip his hat to a lady. That makes sense. Okie doke, Colt. You go ahead and go with that. Back at the bar, Usman is still spilling tea to Courtney, and Courtney is eating it up, y'all. She's like, I wonder if Tim is a cuckold. Is he into that? Usman doesn't quite understand that concept, so she breaks it all down for him. In her confessional, Courtney says she is not surprised by this at all. And it's a small chance that she's going to keep this a secret. And if people tell her anything, they must want her to run tell that, because that's what she's going to do. Tim is her friend, and she feels like Tim needs to know what Jennifer's been saying about him. So Rob shows up at the bar, and Courtney says that she needs to fluff Usman and Rob's aura after what happened last night. Rob is in his confessional saying she's the fluffer. That's crazy. I wonder if Courtney actually knows what that term means. Rob says he's trying to not feel negative about what happened at the bar last night, but Elise is on one, and he doesn't know where to go with this. Courtney says Elise is probably just jealous. And Rob says, yeah, but what she did last night was way too much. I was still interested in her up until that point, but after that, I don't know. I hope she doesn't badmouth me to the other women, and I think she needs to talk to the dating coaches and learn about good dating habits. That is so rich coming from Rob. Rob wants to find a connection, he wants peace, and he doesn't want anything like what he got in his marriage to his ex-wife, Sophie. So he says Elise is a wrecking ball, and she shot herself in the foot when it comes to him. Then, y'all, all of a sudden, Elise shows up at the bar out of nowhere. Okay, it's like she was just a ghost. She wasn't there 1 minute, the next minute she was there, like boom. Rob sees her and he says, hi. And Elise says, hi. And y'all, that was the end of the episode. This is getting good. I didn't really know if I was going to like this particular iteration of 90 Day, but this is actually heating up, and it's very interesting to see how these former 90 Day cast members are handling themselves here at this retreat. And it's interesting to see how they're connecting with the other singles. I feel that Rob is definitely going to have some kind of a hookup or something with Jennifer, but I don't know what's going to happen with Colt and Courtney. You know, there could be something a little interesting happening there. Usman is not going to go for it. Usman's not going for that at all. But I think if somebody else catches Usman's attention, then Courtney will be free to go ahead and go on about her dating life without any kind of input from Usman. But y'all, comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what your predictions are for these people, because at this point, it's still a little bit hard to tell for me, but I can definitely see something happening with Rob and Jennifer. I'm pretty firm on that. But y'all, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up so we can push it out into the YouTube algorithms. As always, y'all, stay safe, stay blessed, And don't forget to tell someone that you love them today. I love each and every one of you, and I truly appreciate your support. With that said, y'all, peace.